Yo, this your boy Rob, aka LYFE, and this is gonna be another quick life talk video on the Black Men and Women series, episode 5 or part 5. And today's episode is gonna be on not chasing. Don't chase. When I say chase, I mean the idea of playing cat and mouse. There's a lot of individuals in the world who appear to be playing this game of cat and mouse where you might have a young sister, a young brother chasing behind another, chasing behind a woman or chasing behind a man. And it tends to stem from this place of, for the individual who is allowing you to chase them, it can be in one of two areas. It could be, are they simply leading you on? Because the individual who's leading you on is loving the idea of playing cat and mouse. They're loving the idea of allowing you to chase them. And an individual who just simply wants to find themselves, they're not going to say, hey, I like you, I want to be with you. And at the same time, I want you to keep on chasing behind me, because they're literally really trying to figure out who they are. So you have to let them figure out who they are, but that doesn't mean you go and chase them and you follow behind them and you beg to be with them. No, that's only going to push them away further. You let that person find themselves. And if they really meant for you, they'll come back to you. That's the whole truth on why I believe that a man or a woman should not chase anybody. Don't chase. It's not worth it. You have to recognize that everyone, including myself, including my siblings, including the young lady that I love, the young lady that I actually want to marry, and I already know I want to marry her, she has to be self-reliant on her own. She cannot fully rely on me. And for her to even want to fully rely on me would make it where she will be a user more than a giver. She'll be a taker more than a giver. And we all have give and take within us, But the fact that she knows that she has to be able to do things on her own makes her a very beautiful woman, makes her a very intelligent woman, makes her the type of woman who I believe I would want to marry, because she knows she has to be self-reliant. And I don't even go for a woman who is of lesser quality at all. So that's one thing about me, that I'm just into an ambitious woman, because I'm not into a woman who just needs me for everything that I can do for her. No offense, I can do bad all by myself. I can do good all by myself. So as a man, women who fought for these rights, I like to see my sisters going for what they really want. And as a brother, I'm going to go for what I want out here. I have to say, when it pertains to this chasing aspect, leave the deadbeat dogs, as you might call them, or the female players alone. If you run up behind a deadbeat dog who don't really want you, he got X, Y, and Z amount of women that's in his sector. And let me just be strictly honest. When a guy, like, if I'm single, I might have X amount of women that I'm talking to at any given time. And I might be telling you truthfully, like, yo, I don't really want anything more than just a sexual relationship with you, or I don't want anything more than a friendship with you, or I don't want anything more than just, a relationship with you. You have to recognize what I'm saying as a man. I can't really speak on women, but recognize what I'm saying as a man, and know at face value that I'm telling you the truth. I don't want anything to do with you. If I see you just as sex, 9 times out of 10, I see you just as sex, mommy. Like, believe this. Believe what I'm telling you, because it is the truth. If I see you as a woman I want to marry, baby, believe that you're a woman I want to marry, and I'm not thinking about any other woman. Because a man that really wants you, he's going to go after you. He's going to make sure you know that he wants you. But he's not going to chase you either. If you're not ready for that, he's not going to chase you. He's going to love you. He's going to want to keep you in that sector. He's going to want to stay close to you, but he's not going to be as close to be like your gay best friend in a sense, because he wants you. A real man going to go do him. He going to go get his shit together and do what he got to continue to do, because this grind out here don't wait for nobody. But he will love you. And it's up to you to recognize, like, okay, this man really loves me. Let me get my shit together, because I might lose something good. And the same thing for a man. He has to realize, like, oh, this woman really loves me. Let me get my shit together, because This woman is it. When you in a relationship, you have to recognize that you both need emotional, mental, and spiritual space to grow. You have to need spiritual space to grow when you're in a relationship. You cannot be all about the other person 24/7. I don't care what nobody thinks. Too much of anything is bad. It's a poison. If I eat too much food, I'm gonna gain hella weight. If I drink too much liquor, I'm gonna get a bell belly. Like, you have to understand, too much of anything is very bad for you, and it can actually be a poison rather than a benefit. You and somebody coming together in a relationship should be a unique bond. You're gonna have your fights, you're gonna have your arguments, and this differs from person to person. You know, as a man, I might get mad at a woman, and I might have a rage, and be mad, but I'm going to get to that level very seldom, because I'm not going to want to see myself in that position. So very seldom when I get to a position of I have to be very raged or outright mad at you. No, I'm gonna tell you what I have to tell you, say what I got to say, and I'm gonna go sit my ass down, because I'm not gonna waste my breath. You either get it or you don't. And then I make maneuvers and I move around. That's just it. You have to be willing to state your piece, state what you want as a man or a woman. And if the person see fit what you're saying, they're willing to change some things about themselves, that's a telltale of whether they really love you, whether they really want to be with you. A man who starts to actually change certain things about himself, let me just be honest with you, he wants your ass. He wants you. He's going to change. So another thing you have to recognize is, don't lose yourself ever. When you're in a relationship, you cannot lose yourself. It's going to happen. And don't get me wrong. Whenever you're in a relationship, you're going to lose yourself. It's a no-brainer. You're going to lose a part of yourself. Probably that first year, or that it might be the first year you might lose a little bit of yourself, find yourself again, and then 2 years later you lose a little bit of yourself right here again. Like, you have to understand, when you're meshing in a relationship and you're becoming one with a woman or with a man, that is the process of becoming equally yoked. A lot of people are afraid of being equally yoked, but at the same time, while being equally yoked, you have to recognize that you cannot lose yourself entirely, because you have to continue to grow. As you continue to grow, you actually make that young lady better. You actually make your relationship better. So focus on yourself, not the relationship. Even when you're in a relationship, focus on yourself, not the relationship. The relationship will bloom, the relationship will blossom. It's like watering the plant in a sense. Take the relationship as a central plant, and you have two individuals coming together. And if there's just one person is being watered and the other person is not being watered, the relationship's not going to work. But if one person is watering themselves, the other person is watering themselves, you're coming in, you're watering them a little bit, they're watering you a little bit, the relationship will be beautiful. A man who is for you will give you room to grow in solitude. We all need solitude. A woman who's for you will give you room to grow in solitude. And I'm not saying that you'll go away from them for hours, weeks at a time. No, I'm saying that if you living together or you whatever in the same space, then you're going to go do something in the room. They're going to go do something in their room or vice versa. You're going to go work on your goals. They're going to go work on their goals. And you're going to come together as a dynamic team, and you're going to laugh and bond and do things. Sometimes you have to do things separate. If you're single, it's okay to be alone. Too often, too many of you women and men out here need to have someone in your life, in your sector. When I was single, I kid you not, it was many days I chose to be alone versus having a young lady come around me and be around me. Sometimes I just wanted to be to my fucking self, because that self-isolation to me is key at times. It helps me recognize who I am. And that helps me recognize where I'm continuing to go. And then I can come and bring it to the table with my young lady who I'm with, and I can help us grow even further by actually focusing on myself. Relationships are meant to grow together to an extent. This goes back to that watering yourself. And when you water yourself, you actually water the relationship itself. So if you can learn how to water yourself, and that other person can learn how to water themselves while in a relationship with you, then a relationship will literally grow. If you have the feeling or need that you have to step outside the relationship to water yourself, then maybe that relationship really isn't for you, because true individuals should be able to water themselves in the relationship. Or maybe you've been through too much in life that you feel as if every time you have found yourself, you had to step outside the relationship. But I know many of women and men who have done both. Me, for one, have found myself whether I was in a relationship or not in a relationship. And it's the most beautiful thing when you can actually find yourself with the person you say you love. It saves you the trouble of so many hours of crying and tears and whatnot, because you actually love that person. You don't want to lose that person. So you allow that person to give you space and room to grow. This is called maturity. This is called being human and loving the person you're with. Another thing that has to be spoken on: you will never leave your baggage in life. Your baggage in life goes with you. But what you have to understand about baggage, you have to manage your baggage and not put your baggage on another individual, on a woman or a man so much. But that man and that woman has to be understanding and knowledgeable that your baggage is there. It's not going nowhere. You can get therapy, you can get so much that can work it out, but that baggage doesn't disappear. It's always going to be in the back of your head because it happened to you. And because it happened, it's very important in your life. If a young lady was raped, or if a young man was abused as a child sexually, that doesn't end. That doesn't go nowhere. So anything that is considered baggage in your life, whether it be an absent father, absent mother, an abusive father, abusive mother, that doesn't go nowhere. But what you can do is you can manage these things, and you can actually correct those actions within yourself, that it doesn't show too much, because it's there. It's not going nowhere. The man or woman who loves you must be willing to understand your baggage. They must be willing to understand your triggers, in a sense, because we all have triggers. The young lady I'm with has a trigger that for her could be a pet peeve if I'm doing that trigger, and it triggers her. It can make her upset, make her mad. As a man, I have to be willing to say, yo, this is upsetting her. Let me correct my actions. Let me actually put myself in a position to understand all of her triggers so that she can be at her very best. Because as a woman, she's not good to me if she's not at her very best. As a man, I'm not good to her if I'm not at my very best. We are helpmates. We help each other grow. We help each other succeed. We help each other build our empires the way we want to build them. Whether that be an empire together, making one central business, or whether it be her focusing on hair and building her hair business, creativity, art, whatever it might be. Me focusing on fitness, doing what I have to do in the fitness industry, my writing, and building my personal empire together. And we come together with these two different unique creations, and we build our household together on top of these unique things. This way, like Robert Kiyosaki said, you have a dynamic in a relationship where your wife has her own assets. She has her own car. She has her own bills. She has her own investments. She's at the point where her credit is just as good as your credit. She's a dynamic, phenomenal individual in the workforce alone, and doesn't really need you, but want you. That's what men and women have to get to, this idea of, I don't need you, but I want you. I don't need you, but I want you. It becomes a position of where the person is in your life, and you literally just want them to be in your life because they're in your life. You don't want anything of them. It ain't their money. It ain't having them on your arm, because in my opinion, personally, I don't need to have a woman on my arm to do what I can do on my own. You know, like, I don't need for a woman to be on my arm and like to glorify social media. Fuck social media. Like, no. I like the woman I like. I like the women I like. Like, for with a woman, for who she is, then the world has to accept her for who she is. Fuck what everybody else think. If she's the woman I choose, then she's the woman I want on my arms, and I'm not going to deviate from that. That's just real shit. That's just how it is. You know, you have to understand that it comes out in different ways for a lot of people when it pertains to this idea of chasing. Chasing can be very destructive for the individual. Never chase a man. Simply put, never chase a woman. Simply put, if you're chasing someone who isn't quite ready for you, then you're going to do them a disservice. Let that person go and let that person realize whether they really want to be in your life or not. Because you could be missing your blessing with a young lady or a young man who actually is meant for you. You can be missing your blessing for a person who can actually be dynamically phenomenal in your life and actually build you up and grow and actually recognize that you're going to go through some shit together. We live in a world that, I don't know if everybody recognizes it, but you can't have the good in the world without having the bad. And it's the same thing for relationships. Your relationship will be rocky. There will be storms. You know, I'm not really a religious buff, but looking at the way the world works and looking at certain things in the Bible, in these religious texts, when it pertains to some things that actually happens in the world, you were meant to go through storms, whether it be individually or whether it be together. As a woman and a man in a relationship together, you're going to have storms. And sometimes it's going to be storms together where your relationship is just going to be rocky. God going to be coming in, throwing shit at your relationship. You got to stay strong together and work through it. And it's going to be stressful. And there's going to be times when you have individual storms that your partner is going to look at you like you crazy because they looking like, what's going on? They looking at you like, what's wrong? Why are you in this? Why are you in this mind state? Why are you in this funk, in a sense? And they have to recognize that it's you going through something that you have to come out of. And it's no representation of them or their inabilities. It's a representation of you and what you're trying to get work through. Because you are an individual. You were born into this world by yourself. You're going to pass away, God forbid, sadly, by yourself. Whether you have a loving mate for 20 years, 30 years, 100 years, you're going to die alone by yourself. And that's not to be a negative thing at all. That's just to say that self-reflection, self-love is always going to be key at the end of the day. For me, one thing I can say is that can come off for me as very baggage like is the fact that I need quality time with the young lady that I'm in a relationship with. That will never change. But what I have to realize is that in me needing this quality time with this young lady, that she might need some different. She might need more alone time than I need the quality time. So you have to understand that we have different love languages. That for me, I might have a love language of I need some physical touch from the young lady I'm with every now and then. For the young lady, physical touch might not be her love language to a whole 100%. It might be, it might not be quality time like that. It might be a little bit of quality time. She might need more time to herself. It might not be gifts. It might be the other ones, you know. But that's the whole point of when you're in a relationship, you want to figure out the love language that your partner needs. And you need to be able to address those needs and make sure that you're not conflicting with their triggers, and make sure that you're understanding their mind, understanding who they are. It's not just about noticing the things that they tell you about themselves, but it's noticing the little traits that they do, the little funny quirks, the things that that makes them sad, makes them happy, makes them go through crazy thoughts in their mind. You have to be willing to understand this. That's called maturity as a man or as a woman. And when you're really able to understand the person you're with, you're really able to understand what they've been through in life, then you're ready to really be in a committed, serious relationship with that person. And sometimes you just can't put all your baggage on a person. You have to recognize that you have baggage. We all do. And you can't put all that baggage on a person. And you can't be affected by the things that they tell you. You can't they have to work these things out on their own. Just because I've been through abuse in my sector of life when it comes to growing up doesn't mean that she has to deal with that abuse wholeheartedly. Yes, she has to understand that abuse and where it comes from, same as me understanding her abuse and where it comes from, but be willing to um, give her that space, give them that space to grow and figure out their abuse and recognize within yourself if you are displaying certain qualities of what they've been through in the past, especially if you love the person. If you love the person, you'll analyze yourself and you'll do constructive work on you to change certain things that might disappoint your partner. And you gotta understand, closed mouths don't get fed. Closed mouths don't get fed. Sometimes we might say talk is cheap, but sometimes talk and your words are very important. As a beautiful young lady has told me plenty of times, your words are very powerful, which means that talk is not that cheap as we might think. Women and men need to be able to come to each other, whether it makes the other person uncomfortable, whether it makes the other person mad, but come to the person and say, hey, this is affecting me. What are you going to do to fix it? And it might take some time. You have to understand that it might take some time because you're coming to a person with an issue of yours that you see in them. And if they love you, they're going to correct that issue. This is your boy Rob, aka LYFE. If you like this video, I know it was a little bit on the low voice tone, but hey, this is what it is. It is a beautiful day. The sun is coming out. The holidays are beautiful. Just love the people in your life. Keep moving forward. Don't chase. Please don't chase. It's not worth it. You will lose yourself time and time again if you continue to chase these men and women. They're not worth chasing, no offense. I'm here to tell you that now. They're not worth chasing. Chase yourself. Chase your goals. This has been another Black and Men discussion series. Part 5, Don't Chase. Part 6 coming soon. If you like what you saw today, like, share, comment, and subscribe, and holler back at your boy. Peace. Happy New Year's.